Your Excellency, the Emperor Lucia, Governor General, Deputy Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, Minister of Infrastructure, Transport, Port Services, Cabinet colleagues, our very distinguished guest speakers, Senator Claudius Francis, President of the Senate, Sir Peter Foster, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen. On February 22nd, 2014, St. Lucia marked 35 years as an independent nation. For many of us, it was a joyous but sobering moment. Even as we celebrated our achievements, we also reflected on our shortcomings. We confirmed in our hearts and minds that there is still so much to be done. Our country, our nation, is not yet that place we would want it to be. It is not so hard to name the many problems confronting us. We could spend hours reciting a list of woes, and that would be the easy part. The far more difficult task is to envisage a different destination, to ask ourselves and each other, where would we like to be in 10 or 15 years? To describe what would we like our country to look like in 2 decades. That process of questioning ourselves started quietly in October 2012 in the form of a dialogue between persons of diverse backgrounds and interests. The process was supported by a technical team from the Commonwealth Partnership for Technology Management, CPTM. Discussions covered a wide range of issues related to the future prospects of St. Lucia, both as an economy and as a society. It confirmed the need for a much broader consensus on the current and future development of the country. It also confirmed that new forms of partnership and participation are needed to improve St. Lucia's economic and social prospects, so that as many citizens as possible can be engaged in the process of meaningful economic and social improvement. The dialogue further suggested that moving St. Lucia sustainably forward would require major changes in the way that economic and social progress within St. Lucian society is envisioned, designed, and implemented. It was felt that the best way to address these issues of inclusion and participation would be through a national visioning process. Accepting the recommendations of the October 2012 dialogue, the Cabinet of Ministers asked the Prime Minister to propose the concept of a national vision to the Honourable Leader of the Opposition and asked for 2 nominations to the proposed National Vision Commission. Her Excellency the Governor General is also consulted and has appointed 2 members so that the Commission now comprises persons nominated by civil society, the private sector, youth, the labor movement, and the religious community. Cabinet also required that the chairperson be someone acceptable to both the government and the opposition. These requirements having been met, we start that process today. Understandably, some persons will be skeptical, and it is best that we say so upfront. We must have realistic expectations about this challenge we are taking up. But I think as St. Lucians, we are up to this challenge. And so I am asking everyone hearing my voice today to bring your skepticism with you to the discussion table. Come forward and let the Commission know how you feel, what disappointments plague you, what strengths we can muster, and how you see your country moving forward. Let us have a frank and productive dialogue about the sort of St. Lucia we would like our children to inherit. Let us consider how they will live there in peace, in perpetual rivalry, or in an enlightened coexistence that allows each of them to flourish at the peak of their potential. We must be mindful also that whatever we imagine St. Lucia can become, it will not come about without vision, without planning, without conscious choice and sacrifice. If we want a different future, we ourselves will need to change. We cannot expect others to do for us what we will not do for ourselves. Under all our desire to shape the future is a need to change ourselves. Change is difficult. It can be frightening. It requires faith in the things unseen. But once we accept that we must change if we are to survive, then we begin to embrace the process, cautiously at first, until we feel more comfortable. This change requires a willingness to give up what we want now for what we will need later. Change is not easy to do alone. When all around us we see others grabbing whatever they can. So we must change together, all of us, and soon. This is the enterprise we will start today. The drafting of a collective approach to our problems, a collective approach to our solutions, and a collective approach to the benefits that will follow. For more than 5 centuries, we nurtured a wisdom which served us well. We produced great men and women who showed us the virtues of dignity and dedication. We built a nation out of the rubble of sugar and slavery, and we walked a long, long way. At 35, we are no longer young. We are an independent nation in the world of nations, and we have had 3.5 decades to grow up. Now we need to recall our strengths and rekindle our memories, for we are still in the business of building a nation. The long walk continues, and now we must reclaim responsibility for our decisions. We must manage our democracy. We have to stand up together and shape our world. That is what successful nations do. And if we are seen to be helping ourselves, others will more readily support our efforts. And that is just what we intend to do, to build sustainability, to achieve self-reliance and self-determination, and earn the kind of international respect and cooperation that comes from the principled management of our own affairs. We will bind ourselves together as one nation. We will do this now while there is time, while we still cling to the promise of St. Lucia, to that promise of the land, the people, and the light, that promise of a proud and progressive place to which we belong. This can surely happen if we renew our thinking, if we return to our enduring values as a society and build on that foundation a suitable national philosophy to guide our growth and development. That philosophy must be based on the primacy of our people and the sanctity of our resources. It really is that simple. We must create the best possible St. Lucia and the best possible St. Lucian. In a very small nutshell, this, Mr. Chairman, is a work of the National Vision Commission. This work is now vital to our future. It will help decide our education thrust, our investment policy, our approach to governance and ownership of critical assets. It will guide our social policy and shape priorities in health and human services. It will speak to the importance of heritage and culture and the creative imagination. It will address the most important physical and spiritual needs of the St. Lucian citizen of today and tomorrow, and the means to deliver as much of those needs as possible. All of this will be done mindful of our human capacities and our resources, whether endowed or otherwise. On December 25th, 2013, this nation united in grief and hope. In the aftermath of floods, we rediscovered our humanity, a generosity and concern for each other which many of us had long forgotten. And it felt good. It felt right. On February 22nd, we looked up at a still and silent statue in Constitution Park and saw an elder statesman who spoke to us of proud moments in our very recent history. We felt as one nation the power of a cause more important than ourselves. And that too felt good and right. Clearly, we need to allow ourselves to believe again, despite the odds, to feel good again about who we are and the long road we have traveled. Though we have stumbled now and then, we have also risen up unafraid. Now, let us feel good and right that our men and women, children and elders, priests and poets, workers and employers, citizens of whatever political persuasion, will consult, discuss, and decide together where we are going and how we are going to get there. The first mandate of this commission is to listen and to discuss with rank and file St. Lucians and representative organizations where they would like to see themselves, their communities, and their country in the immediate years ahead. The commission is to ask St. Lucians both what they want from their leaders and what they expect from themselves. The ultimate aim is to create a national vision, a set of guidelines and principles reflecting the views and preferences of the people of St. Lucia as to how the development of the country and its people should proceed. Based on island-wide consultations, the Commission will then draft a people-centered development strategy outlining how best this country should be managed to achieve and sustain that outcome. If the Commission does its work well, and I am confident that it will, St. Lucia will soon have a set of guiding principles and development priorities that will become the national standard to guide successive governments. In effect, the national vision will be the people's manifesto of principles anchoring national policy, community programs, and public sector projects alike. Ultimately, the national vision and strategy will help all of us to make decisions and choices about how we advance ourselves, our families, our communities, and our future generations. It will describe our preferences, choices which are wholesome, enlightened, and sustainable. Our vision will empower us to move toward the best possible outcome for the greatest number of citizens. I must now acknowledge those nominating organizations and individuals who have agreed to serve on this commission to help us shape the country in which we wish to live. As you do this great service towards St. Lucia, I urge you to be brave, to be bold, to be fearless in the pursuit of truth and reason, no matter how uncomfortable or inconvenient that truth may seem. And I promise you that no one, not even this Prime Minister, will interfere or seek to influence the peaceful progress and outcome of your assignment. I thank also the Honourable Leader of the Opposition for her willing participation in this national process. I urge your continued good faith and support, knowing full well that the blueprint emerging from this process will not belong to one, but to all parties and to all persons. Clearly, to realize our full potential as individuals, as communities, and as a nation, we need to embrace the ties that bind us together. We need this now more than ever if we are to fulfill the immense promise of a prosperous, hopeful, and enlightened St. Lucia. In closing, I add special thanks to the people of St. Lucia for this opportunity to help reshape our nation. I thank you for your faith and magnanimity, for your confidence in our country and yourselves, for the hope you exhibit by being here today, by listening to the ceremony on the radio, or by watching it on television. I urge you to discuss this initiative with friends and family, in councils and committees, in bedrooms and boardrooms, in bars and schools, on playing fields and street corners. Discuss and participate. Have your voices heard. Comment constructively. And if something needs fixing, then it is us who must also fix it. Do not wait to be called. Invite the Commission into your community, to your next annual general meeting, to meet with your mothers and fathers group. Tell them of your vision, your hopes and needs. This is your opportunity. Make it your initiative. Most importantly, I urge you to believe that this is still your country. And if you so choose, your views and opinions will count in the shaping of the future of St. Lucia. May God bless and guide us all in the work that we do for our country, this land of beautiful people and renewable light. I thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.